Hi, it's Chris from CTC. We're here today in a Hyundai i20N. Now, those who know us as a Swift specialist might be wondering why. Well, it's pretty simple. We've bought one. And why have we bought one? Well, we've been tuning Suzukis for over a decade now, and we wanted something new, a new challenge, something different, and we wanted to branch out. And when we collected our Swift hybrid last year, the guys at PebleyBeach Suzuki also happened to be a Hyundai dealership, and they asked us were we excited about the new i20N. Well, the answer is no, because I didn't know it existed. So we did some research, we looked into the car, and it certainly ticked all the boxes for us. So we wasted no time in getting our order in. Now, unfortunately, this isn't our car. We've had to borrow this because ours isn't ready, but it has given us an opportunity to review the car, do some driving, and see what we think, and look at where we can make some improvements with this car. So from the outside, I think the car looks fantastic. Some of the lines are really, really distinctive. I think the front end is really aggressive. And then there's that rear spoiler. Now, the spoiler does divide opinion a little bit. Some people think it looks great, others not so great. I would advise you to go and take a look. It looks much, much better in the flesh. In fact, it looks really good. So we're probably going to look to do some parts. We're going to look at spoilers, we're going to look at splitters, we're going to do some 3D scanning to make sure fitment's absolutely perfect. We're then going to look at the performance. Now, I'm going to talk first about the ride. Now, on 90% of the roads, the ride is brilliant. It handles really well. It's firm, but it's not too firm. It's everything you'd expect from a hot hatch. But when you get on that last 10% of the roads, a road that's very, very uneven, very, very rough, and let's say you're making some serious progress, it can be a little bit unsettled. And so I think we're going to focus maybe on the dampening rates and look at talking to a couple of coilover manufacturers. We're also going to look at the intercooler, because let's face it, any car that you're going to tune, possibly take on track, you want to make sure the inlet temps are as low as possible. So we're going to focus on that. Again, we're going to 3D scan everything, and we're going to make sure that everything fits perfectly. Now, for those who don't know, we manufacture most of our products right here in the UK, so the intercooler will be no different. We will manufacture our intercoolers using a tube and fin core. The reason we choose tube and fin, not only does it recover really, really fast in comparison to, say, a bar and plate core, it also weighs less than half of what a bar and plate core would weigh. We're going to focus on the end tank design and make sure that it's really, really efficient, because again, there is absolutely no sense in creating something that is oversized for the car and the power that you intend to make. We're going to look at the exhaust system. Now, let's talk about the exhaust. I'm driving in standard mode at the moment. I'm not in N mode. The valve's closed. It's nice, it's quiet. It's an enjoyable place to be. There's a little bit of exhaust note without it being too much. But if you want some noise, you hit the M button and you can hear some pops and bangs and burbles. If you accelerate, there's some more noise there. I'm not sure what it reminds me of. It sounds slightly like my old Cooper S that had a supercharger. There's a whine about it that you can hear. Oh, I think it does sound fantastic. Toe rev matching works really, really well, and I think it will be difficult to improve on the exhaust system in terms of the noise it makes, but I do think we can improve the flow and we can improve the efficiency of the exhaust system to make sure that that's not holding you back with regards to power. We're going to look at the intake kit, of course. Now there's always a dispute around what's better. Do you need a closed intake or an open intake? Is hot air an issue? Is a cold air intake absolutely necessary? Well, I think a combination of both is necessary. You want a cold air intake, but also you need the least resistance and restriction on that intake. So we're going to make sure that we look closely at the design, and we'll probably offer an intake that gives less restriction and some noise for those who want it with an open intake, but we'll also supply an optional airbox so that if you want to make sure that your inlet is as cold as possible, then we're not holding it back. We will look at the blow-off valve, more for response than noise. I'm not a big fan of atmospheric blow-off valve noise, but some people like that, so we'll probably design a dual port blow-off valve. We're going to look at some cosmetic parts for the engine bay. We already have got an oil filler cap available. We're already working on the moulds for a carbon engine cover. And so there's plenty of parts that we can do, but one of the things that will stop us going too far with development is the ECU. Now the ECU on this car, it's never been used on any other car. So that's an issue. It does mean that any of the tools for mapping will not currently access this ECU. Now we've tried for some time to get hold of an ECU without success. Unfortunately, with a shortage of semiconductors, we've been unable to get hold of an ECU. And so our car, it does mean that we'll have to lose it for maybe a month or two. But I think it'll be worth it once we're able to access that ECU. So what sort of power are we looking for? Well, if I'm honest, this car, as great as it is, does it need loads more power? I don't think it does. I think some power would make the car more fun, but I don't think you need 300 horsepower. You just don't need 400 horsepower. The car doesn't need it. It's not what it's about. But maybe 240, 250, 260 horsepower would be nice. Maybe more for those who want it. But I think initially we'll aim for around the 250, 260 horsepower mark, and I think that'll be enough. So let's see what it drives like. So straight away, the rev matching works really, really well. Fairly quick pickup. As you can see, this road, it's quite a bumpy road. But it does pull really, really well. It's really responsive. But the one thing I found when I drove this initially, it felt slower than the Swift Hybrid we just got out of. And I think that's because the Swift Hybrid is not standard. It's been tuned, it's been modified, it's currently 185 horsepower. But more than that, it's a very, very small turbocharger, and it's got the electrical assistance from the motor. So there's loads and loads of torque low down, whereas this, it feels a little bit flatter. Now there's torque there, it pulls well, but where this car really comes alive is up over 4,000. If you get those revs up, it pulls really, really well, and it kind of encourages you to drive quick. The noise, the drama of it, it really is very, very good. what's my final thoughts? Well, I think Hyundai have done a brilliant job. As factory cars go, I think it is really, really hard to beat. It does everything you need it to do, and more. Do I think we can improve it? I really do think we can. I think a little bit of fine tuning with the damping rates, a little bit more power, and I think this car will be everything you could need, whether that's your car for the weekend, the occasional track day, or your daily commute. And we're really, really excited to get started with the Hyundai brand. Will we stop doing Suzuki stuff? Absolutely not. The next Swift, when that comes out, we'll do all our same product development. But for now, we look forward to get started with the Hyundais.